Right, good evening, everybody. We are back to work a little more on the AI reinforcement learning model that we're using to try and beat Pokemon Red. As you can see, tonight's pretty active, so there are a bunch of people trying to do very similar things. Quite a few have made progress through the game, where you can see making it all the way through the forest, all the way up into the Mount Moon area, and actually met with a person who was able to successfully work a model that had beaten the game in its entirety. So we now know that it's possible to do it, and we'll continue some of our work here to do so. I have it over here. Basically, I had been making some updates and tweaks to the code, and then go full screen there, trying to get it to trying to get improvement to the model. Most of what I am seeing here in the scoring for it, if I here try and bring this over to the screen, I don't want it to go full screen to kind of lose the formatting of things. So all in all, it's completed about 77 iterations at this time. This is the last set of changes that I made. You can see it does complete a few of the basic events. Most of those are right away at the beginning of the game. So things like meet Professor Oak, get the Pokeballs from him, even like picking a starter Pokemon. But most of the time, it actually just tries to explore the map to find more information, because that's where most of its reward is being derived from. So you can see a few times it was able to heal its Pokemon. A number of times it actually died. The score for badge had always been 0, so it had never even never got to the first gym. And one of the interesting ones here is the opponent's level has actually increased from 0, so it is able to start finding Pokemon. And you can see here that it actually increased its score on the level as well. So not much practice. I was trying to see if it would show another iteration or if I had successfully stopped this from running. So, okay, so it did pull together a full grouping here. 0 badges. It's an average of all of them. I had 24 agents running, about 1.38 deaths, so maybe about 30 deaths across all the instances. Some healing, a fair amount of, a decent amount of event points, at least getting some of those initial events done. But most of it was points for completing the map. And then it looks like most of its reward, it completed basically about 2% of the total map in the game. All in all, this has been, I had this running in the game basically for almost 4 million steps in the game across all the agents. Total time for those, basically it's been running since yesterday. We're seeing that we're really not even making it out there, so I think some change to the overall structure would be great, and there's quite a bit of work that would need to be done to do that. So I'm going to bring in the code here. As I read through and understood this more, it's just trying to get an idea of what they are rewarding. So it's going to seek the rewards for badges. Those are worth quite a bit, and then multiplied by like 5 times. Then there's also events related to the badge, so it's a huge swelling in points to complete those. The idea here is that if it learned to eventually figure out the location of the first gym, it would try and get to there and defeat it as quickly as possible, because there's such a huge reward increase for these. So how these models actually work is that they are seeking out the highest reward score. So if you would want it to play a game, you have to give it a bunch of incentive in terms of points for it to collect in the rewards to get the best there. So this is like the best version that I had gotten. It had actually gotten 20 levels across all the Pokemon that it had captured. The most that it had was 5 Pokemon. So it looks like one of the instances had 5 deaths as well. So this is just looking at the max stats here across these. So this is the 5 steps. Looks like I said about one was able to get to 20, and then the most steps that they had taken across any one instance is all the same, and that's at 163,000 steps. So if you want to think about it, in the time that we would, if you were a person playing the game, that would make quite a bit of progress in the game itself. If I remember correctly, there was like, I think it was every 60 steps you took in the game was the equivalent of a minute. So if you're talking about 163,000 steps, now you're talking quite a bit of hours. I mean, let's just use the calculator here. 163,000 divide by 60 per minutes. So basically, I've been playing for 45 hours. In the original game, that should take you like most of the way through the game. But the way this learns is it's trying to move around the map, trying to understand it better, and so not a whole lot of actual progress in terms of doing it. So there were a few things that I would think to start and make changes here. There's a function here that tries to sum up the levels of your Pokemon, but then removes some of the levels for the starter. And I think part of the logic here was if you left it just get the 5 or 6 points for going to get the starter, it would never really move beyond that for a while, because it would always try and go there and basically say, like, give me the rewards for getting a Pokemon. Okay, I got that huge swell in points. Well, I can't do anything else that's as good as that, so I'm done. And then that's why I was thinking here that this is part of the thresholding that had been done. So it lets you get a swell of points quickly at the beginning. It looks like as long as the sum of your levels is less than this threshold of 22, then you're being heavily incentivized to level. And then after that, the scale kicks in and it quickly drops the points. So I do think there is some work here that could be done to improve this, because, like I said, you're going to have that huge swell in points at the beginning, and then it's just going to kind of drop off a cliff. Because now you're subtracting out some of those, and then you're dividing it by a factor. So it heavily incentivizes it at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it just drops really quick. It looks like there are information that's being here. What is readm? Okay, so it's trying to get the memory values for the Pokemon that are in your party. It would be interesting to try and get information about that, and then it's trying to get all the rewards and then update them here. So this is a factor that's going on as well. So you can scale your rewards up or down based on what you want to do, but then there's these multiplying factors. So this is like heavily incentivizing healing your Pokemon right away. So that way you can get the event reward. All right, so let's say a Pokemon takes damage, you use a potion, you heal 20 health. Well, you're actually going to, in the short term, get a huge reward for that of 100 times whatever the scale is going to be. And you can see trying to get the opponent's level and then taking that basically by 1/5, downrank that, and then here a negative multiplier on the number of deaths. And then This is what I was talking about by like heavily weighting the badges, not only on their own, but then they're also here in the event rewards as well. So if you fight a gym leader, let's just say Brock, there's an event for beating Brock, and then completing the conversation with him also gives you the TM. So those are 2 events. Times 4 is already worth like 8 points to the thing, plus the 5 for the badge. So now you're getting 13, which would heavily incentivize them to go and beat those trainers. So exploration here looks like scene. So the coordinates that it has seen on the map times 0.1 times the exploration weight. So let's see if we can find that. Maybe I skip past it here. No. Okay, so it's not here. It's in this. So it's saying that the explorer ratio should be the same as the others by saying that this is times 1. So it's finding a bunch of coordinates and then not really moving off those. So I'm wondering if this should downrank. But I'm thinking of a different way to do this. Is I'm actually going to increase this and decrease this as well in the next iteration. So that way, hopefully doing other things rather than just exploring the map will increase it, because what we had seen was most of the points that it was generating were from the exploration function. So just going to kind of quickly pull the numbers for this back over again. This was it started another cycle, but we wanted to stop. So I'm here. This is the iterations from last night. Like I said, got to like 180,000, yeah, or 160,000. So towards the end, you can see that the most of its points were actually coming from the exploration side of things. So I think downranking them is appropriate, and then upranking all the events as a whole. So now, now I'm essentially doubling everything except exploration, and then that will end up hopefully bringing these scores more in line. So like the event points double rather than it being halved before. So if you're on average 6 or 8 points, that means 12. So you completed like 3 or 4 events. So if I think about that, now that I understand it better, where was the events list? So you're talking about these first few. So one of them did get the Pokeballs, I guess. But overall, not many things have been completed here. Right, because here we're already, what, 20, 30 euros in to choose a Pokemon. So we should get to those 35 events faster and hopefully start getting better progress. Through the waiting here. I honestly thought about adding scores for capturing Pokemon, incentivizing it further to not only fight, but like the first time you capture a Pokemon, add it to the list, basically to help it fill out the Pokedex, both in seeing it and then fighting it. Would you encourage it to do more of the battling? I feel like that would take a little bit of work trying to get through those, but I feel like it would be better progress overall for the model. So I'm just trying to see if there's like a list of Pokemon out there. Let's see. That doesn't help me because I would need to know red memory or Pokemon. See. So let's see how does it check the OX. Let's try and find it in this list here. Find D8C5. So I guess the level of the opponent's Pokemon, the whole one. Sure, makes sense. Okay, so reason memory finds those. So then we've got D164. So those are the Pokemon in the party. Makes sense. D16C. And then D18D is max. So perfect. Okay, so that it's really going through and finding the percentages of HP. So let's go rate a function. No rewards. Let's just put it here. Let's say get Pokedex scene. So return this. And I also want to get Pokedex caught self. So we'll go here. So we'll want to do a very similar thing here. Right, so we're going to call this scene. What is read in? Right, let's just read the information. Yeah, get the memory value. And then, so there's quite a long list here, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to copy those and then do this. And I'm going to update so first goes 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E. I realize I'm making a mistake here because I'm actually getting the values for Pokemon owned. So after F, this goes to 300. Whoa, how much did he go? So all the way up to D300. These will come to here for later. So what was the last one? This. So we're going to change this name. This is now caught, as I put in the wrong one. Caught. All this I'm seeing. Max. and started to understand what I was doing. And it does go all the way to T31C. So so then, oh yeah, we finished the line, but we still need to finish this here. Yep. So we want this, and then return some numbers. So I'm going to go to get level sum. I just want to make sure. So it reads the memory value here, which should be return a number, and then does this across the whole party, minus the minimum level for each one. So ensuring that it's at least 0 by doing this. Very similar process here. And then get level rewards. So then we'll call this self caught equals some non-caught, and then you want to return self caught. And it's going to be the same process here. So self dot scene equals some scene self dot. So in our list of rewards, we can now add to Pokédex scene self reward scale. But this is not the Pokédex scene reward. This is the max. No. Scene. I should say 0.5 for now. And then reward scale times self non-captured times 0.5. Non-captured though was caught. So we've added in factors now to, I guess I'll go through these real quick. So this checks Pokédex for Pokemon caught and sums the number up. And same thing here. Recheck the Pokédex or Pokemon seen, sums that number to add to reward. and 2, 1. And that's the events, right? Sorry, so this should get the get Pokedex. What do I call it? Scene, right? I called them both caught. And then let's get that. So we're increasing its reward fairly significantly for Pokemon seen and then caught. So the number of events, the levels, rewards, healing, opponent level, dead badge, and exploration. We downranked exploration by half, and we doubled all the rewards, so exploration should come down pretty significantly. And by adding additional rewards here for seen and captured out of the Pokedex, it should start to complete those. So with that in mind, let's get this off again. And I'm just gonna leave the screen display. It's gonna hopefully show us popping in again on there. So let me pull the code back up. Make sure I've saved everything here locally. Let's kick it off and we will see. It does take a moment or two to get running, but then we'll be off to the races. At least I hope so. See how well this turns out. So a few other people are running through their iterations here. I'm just trying to zoom out on the map and see how far along they've gotten. Looks like somebody's got a cluster here. In the museum. Looks like they are progressing along to Mount Moon. I haven't seen any in there, so yeah. So far, he has mostly worked his way over to Mount Moon. Looks like he's got a fair amount here who are going through and beating Brock. Seems like they file through pretty quickly. Someone else's iterations. Oh my goodness, so many instances. Going through and trying to progress forward. A couple people seem like they have the same. It should show up here in like a green. What's going on here? Unsupported type. Intended method. Oh, it's because I didn't put these here. Small enough typo. Oh. Take that off and hopefully. So basically, it was getting that there's a method there, but it can't multiply. to int. Looks like it kick it off and running again. Zoom out a bit just so we don't get overwhelmed. Might be worthwhile. I do see a version here where it does include like probably some of the scoring functions. So I believe that's here. Yeah. All right, so I'm showing already in step 50 in the command line, so they should start popping up here in the stream soon. So this is a map that everybody streams to once they're making progress on it. So I'm hoping we start making our appearance soon. Looks like a fair amount. Well, this guy has started to make it into the gym to do battles. Not really showing up. I need to widen. So what's going on here? It's saying there are 96.5 Pokemon seen. Pokedex seen. So it's seen every Pokemon? No, can't be right. And then 32, which is 64 for the ones captured. Like, that's possible. Here we are popping up in the corner. So massively increasing the score, but I think there's a few things happening. One, there are too many instances running, so I can't easily control those at the moment. So I'm just going to take it down to 8. And then let's get this Pokemon Red. So it seems like it's pulling back based on the scoring that we've seen here, everything is in the Pokedex. Well, I guess the easier way is to just decrease the score. So there should have been 152, and some of these actually had increased their score, but we are downranking everything, right? But by half? So 96.25, it's like 192. Why is that coming back? 192 is my question. And then it's saying Pokemon captured is already 32, but it should be 0 for the most part. So Pokemon caught. I know it's not great practice, but I'm just going to say minus 64 here. I just want to reduce that number and then minus number C. Because they had all pretty significantly. Check my numbers. $93, which doesn't particularly make sense, but importantly, I did see it increase. So okay, let's make sure that's saved. Save. And we are going to re-kickstart the process. And I should see pretty quickly how the score is going. So I'll take a moment to get a drink and check on the chats too while it's going. So hold on. Let's see. Okay, it crashed out because it got a result of in and none type. Bring that back up here into none type. Where did my return line go? That's what's happening. Okay. Simple enough. I'm here reading about the memory for information about the items. Let's do this. Here, I already encountered that. All right, we've got a few instances off and running. Hopefully, maybe we'll start appearing on the map. And it did. We have zeroed out the scores now here. So pull this up here. So now that things have finally zeroed out, it won't have suddenly had a huge jump in the score and not know what to do with it. Since this has been going for about 3,000 steps, I do not see it. I do not think we would have suddenly launched ourselves to freaking. Oh, nope, there we are. We're in the corners. We only have 8 instances. There's one that's kind of poking around. The other ones are kind of stuck. It is getting basic. So we completed our first 4,000 plus steps. It's now retraining the model. Took about 2 minutes to run through that. It'll probably take 2 minutes to retrain, but at least we can kick it off. We can see the progress. Here, so I'll take a moment just to check the chats. Don't particularly care about those. I am hoping we start to exit progression. We're back on the map again. No. Another thing would be to look at the level reward thresholding here that I had mentioned while we're off and running. I'll just kind of pull this to the side so I can think through it. We can watch it. Keep its progress going here. So I have no idea if any of them have actually caught any Pokemon. Here, so so it goes through and it makes an environment. Oh, I have a different checkpoint to start from. That's what's happening. I'm going significantly back in time here when it's doing that. So we'll kill the process. If I go here, this is the session that we've been working through. But I need to get this steps file. So that number is 9830400. So I was not updating the progress from those previous iterations. So basically nothing happened or it had overwritten previous ones. Need to save this. Pull those down, but we can see at least in a few iterations that it has actually seen some Pokemon. So maybe I took too many points out, but it shouldn't have been 190 or something along those lines. So let's see. Go back here. We'll kick it off with this. And I want to see if there's a sudden point jump. Oh, I have to exit this folder or else it can't write to it. So I'll be curious to see what some of those rewards come out to. And I'll let this go. Right now, it's really ramping up their reward for exploration. Or I guess capturing a lot of work for it now. Okay, it's jumped in Pokedex scene from 0 to 2. Some of these have high Pokemon captured. I guess one came out as like 60. But we did at least come out of the corner. We were stuck there for a while. So it wasn't being properly incentivized. But the question is like, where did... Oh, there we go. There's still a couple here. There's a couple over there. Some have made it up into the grass. So yeah, we're starting to actually progress forward in the game rather than kind of stay in the corners of Professor Oak's lab and move through. So this is a nice one here. We've got two that are on their way to seeing Brock. I do think it will taper off on over time for those. Maybe the score is still too high, but it seems to be balancing out pretty well. Where now it's starting to increase some of the other numbers as well. So like events has now jumped for some of them. Levels started to increase. Healing has done increase as well. And then Explore is still increasing. So we've got at least a bit of a range across them. Seeing some of these already now into what am I naming? Forgetting the name of the city. Viridian City. They're starting to make progress. They're going to go, I guess, capture some new Pokemon. We hit our iteration cap, so these will disappear off the map soon. One version, I'm pretty sure there was a trainer there for them to fight, so he hit that. I think that's the rival fight, if I remember. But I'll be curious because I feel like the scores are much higher gain than before. Part of that is we're adding things to the reward structure, but we it did see now like positive momentum in getting out of the city area. So already back off and running for the next iteration, and let's see what's happening here. Once we start to appear on the map again. I guess we can look over this way because there's a few less, or way less, bots sitting over this way. There's one of ours in the grass over here, moving. Another one popped in. So only have 8 instances going now. Sorry, 8 instances running. So one has successfully made it into Viridian City. A few of them have started to come out of the grass. There's still 1, 2 stuck in the beginning Palatine area, but starting to see increases in the overall scores. So this is a big part of talking about how the reward structure works and making sure we're incentivizing it for completing the game. Part of Pokemon is to, gotta catch them all is literally the catchphrase for it. So put in incentives to do that. So now they should be progressing out of the starter area, focusing more on catching Pokemon, which will then increase the rewards for things like gaining levels and fighting, because you have to go try and find new Pokemon, right? Hopefully it will start to figure out that, I can gain levels by fighting and not just running away. But we will see now it kind of just needs time to iterate. Oh, there's one over here. So I think I kind of got stuck in the corner for a moment, but it's trying to figure out what to do. Which is pretty nice. So there's a version that has already made it up into, I forgot the name of the forest, but it's we're making significant progress. Whereas the past couple days, I just kind of let it run after we had our last session. Did not make any changes to the code, but just kind of went out and explored what a few other people had done. Kind of got connected to some of the community here. And now we're making, I'd say, fairly great progress. I think the biggest thing at this point would just be giving it time to iterate and learn from what it's doing along the way. So I think, earlier we had very similar to some of these where it would really be heavily focused on maximizing the rewards because they were weighted more highly in the version that it had. So spent a lot of time just really around the edges of the map to try and get the most they could out of that reward score. Now that we've added, we've downranked the rewards, and we've also increased rewards for finding Pokemon. That led it to starting to get out of the town area. Yeah, there's a few. I have agencies running. There's a couple that now have scores in the hundreds, whereas before we were averaging scores in like the single digits, 20 and 30 across like, what was this, 9 million steps for the 4 instances. So small change makes big results here, incentivizing it to capture the Pokemon. Where was that one? We had one. Oh, there. We have 2 now that are in, what is it? Lane Forest. So good progress by those 2. We're hoping that the other ones can catch up to them along the way. It recently did run a learning iteration, so it looks like we're starting to pop back into the map. There's one that's stuck here in Viridian. A couple here that are just starting to get out. One here. Still one stuck, and I believe in the room you start in. So hopefully that one can work its way through improving. I think doing it like this and massively increasing the scores has made a significant jump, at least in our progress so far. It's going to get exploration points for pushing through the map along the way, but getting a lot for seeing and capturing Pokemon seems like good progress. And one of the things I should check is there a cap on the reward or the target for the reward? So another thing that happened here too is that because I was picking up from the previous iteration, the previous 2 days work, essentially, that it already had that information trained in, and now that we adjusted the score, it got a sudden jump. So I need to figure those out. It may have been better to have just gone back to the drawing board, but we will see if we can continue making progress. Just went through another training cycle, so we disappeared from the map for a moment or 2. All Tuesday does that, but then we should reappear. So overall, that's pretty darn cool that we're getting there. Like I said, and we're hoping that we can get a version that will go through and complete the game. I'll let this run for iterations through the evening. One of the things I still wanted to check was that level reward. Now that I'm incentivizing it to capture Pokemon, so the Explorer Thresh was set as 22. So as long as your level is less than 22, you're increasing linearly. just based on the sum of your levels. But if you're now, let's say 23, your level score dropped from 22 to what, some small fraction, and then needs to slowly work its way back up over time. I'm not particularly sure that I like the way that works, so that this is basically only the Pokemon that are within your party as well. So this isn't going to iterate across the boxes that you have. So if it captures a Pokemon and does not use it, it will eventually replace that with other ones that is captured along the way. Right. So I think the very first route you capture a lot of Pidgeys and Rattatas, but if you don't use those and you get to the forest and all of a sudden you're catching Weedles and Caterpies, it's going to replace it with those. Okay, good to keep that in mind. I do think I want to change that reward structure then to be not just the Pokemon in your party, but also the ones in the boxes. So that way, if you catch a new Pokemon, it will always increase the reward. You don't always have to get the Pokemon out of the box. Like it would always pull a Pokemon out of the box if that box Pokemon was higher than what's in its current party, because that would increase its reward just by doing that. So it would be worthwhile probably to come back to that. Let's see here. Where are we? Are we on the map at the moment? Switch back. It's running. We're about 1,000 steps, so we should be. Oh, I see a version of us here is in the corner. Another couple here in the city still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were the ones that had started to make it out. We'd had one in the Viridian Forest. Did it start to get up to here? There's the gym, but I don't see that. So did it make its way back? No, there's one here in the corner. Still. Yes, there's that one, but where are the others? Oh, there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hard to tell if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then number 8 is stuck up here in the corner. So, because of decent enough progress here, I think there's actually not sure exactly why this one has stuck to this corner and these ones as well, but I'll let it run a few more iterations, and then I do want to think about how we're handling the level reward function. Because I'm wondering if it just became disincentivized from leveling. So it should just drop back in here in a moment. But we are encountering a lot of the same things as before, so I'm not particularly shocked. It's really sticking to that corner, not really sure what's there. I do want to reach out to the group and see. Let's go. Okay, now go to the wrapper. I see. So he pulled in. He pulled in a Pokemon level and name. And then put that into his. So if I go here, I'm just trying to read through and understand what he did to do this. So I believe mine's a little bit different. So any initiation. So here it initiates it and it gets all the information. So we'll pull that from there. Okay, so let's look at what he does. He gets the Pokemon's name. So it initiates in his instance. And during the step is when he updates that information. So if we go here, we find step. Of course, this is updating information that's being passed back. And one making it out of the starter area. I hope it wasn't one that just went back. That's why I'm trying to add more information to it. I'm hoping that I can get it to pull back the at least one of the Pokemon with information. Oh, let's see. We should have level information here too, right? So let's do something similar here. And let's just see how this works. Now a core is being nice. That's the end. That's running over there. I'm trying to figure out how to append. Let's just do this. Let's make a where should I put this? There's a read party. I'm gonna do def. Yeah. Need. Okay. Self. Create string to add to string extra with name and level. So for this, I want to return this extra string. Self not extra string. We do here. Read a no, let's just do this 0x d164 plus extra string equals string like this. Colon. I have to read where's the level information. Okay. Yeah, I hope that works. And then let's keep extra. Need oh. Save it. I'm gonna try and make updates to this in a moment. It's we're still running through its iteration number 10. I guess that's fine. Yeah. So I'm going to and save this one. And I just want to see quickly if it's working or not. If it doesn't work, I can always code it out. Oh. See, so it's starting to get it set up. And it crashed right away. Raise enough file here. Oh, did I not close this properly? Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. Oh. I don't know if that was actually the source of the issue. If that was just, I found another issue. It has no attribute extra string, which is this that was trying to pull back. So it wasn't actually working. And let's see, hopefully we can get this thing actually stable. I guess that is what it is. I'm hoping that this works, so we'll see. Another error has occurred. Has no attribute stream metadata. So this is where it was trying to update this. So I'm just going to comment this out. Oh, I need to save that. So save that. It will at least run and get there. Because I think that's fine. This comes back here. It would be nice, but hey, it's off and running again. So at least it's making progress. I know I'm tapping probably close to everything I have on the computer. Yeah. Right now, about half the memory I'm using is the stream itself for this, and then the other is Python. Not a lot of other things running. I can close the code editor. That'll give a bit back. But we do see ourselves appearing here again, running pretty frequently. Still in the town area. So let's just see what we can do here. There we go. Repeat. Okay. So that's off and running. We do have a few that are starting to once again begin moving out of the city area and at least make progress. Peter City. What I'll do is I'll try and make some tweaks to this. Tomorrow will be the Sunday study session, so I'll have it up on screen. I'll just kind of work quietly through this to try and see if we make progress. But for now, I'll leave this running. Another thing I'd like to do is to try and get the emulator going for at least one instance of this so we can see how it's progressing and moving. I know it'll fly through the menus and everything, but at least we can hopefully see it making some progress, because we do have a few versions that were just here that were starting to make their way out of the town. I know it's at least, like I said, progressing forward. I don't know where the instances disappeared to in the streamer. But we'll come back tomorrow night and attack this a little more. So for those of you who are seeing this today, we made some improvements to the model. We went through, we found the memory codes for the Pokemon seen in the Pokedex and the Pokemon captured. The idea here was to incentivize the model to do something else besides exploring. What was happening was the majority of the score that it was generating was only exploration points. On average, the score that it was getting was about between like 30 and 50 points. Most of those, like when I say most, I mean 90% of that was the exploration. There was a few that had kicked off the events. So I had changed the weightings here for the scoring. Basically, it was reducing everything by 50% and leaving the exploration at the normal 1 times multiplier. And so I flipped that. I had taken the reward for everything that it was doing and giving that a 1, and then having what it was getting for doing exploration. So it would still do exploration, but it would still prioritize things like catching Pokemon now and hopefully increasing their levels. One of the things that I'm still not seeing too much progress is the increase in the level reward. That I would like to see that become higher, and then if it's doing that, then we know it's starting to train and fight with Pokemon more regularly. So one of the notes that I do have, and be something I'm working on for tomorrow as well, is displaying information in the stream name here, so that way we can see at least, do they have does it have a Pokemon, and what is the lead information for it, so what level it is, and then working on that level and reward, because right now I can just I'll pull it over here. Let me get a little wonky for a second while it's going through this, but in general, the lead score is, or the level score is really low compared to things like events, even exploration, and seeing capture. So we'd like to get to a point where it can do more with trying to level its Pokemon. And I feel like there's some low-hanging fruit as far as that goes, because it seems like they tried to downrank the rewards for leveling previously after getting a few initial levels. That I would like to just kind of keep it a more linear increase over time. Maybe not just for the Pokemon in your party, but also for the ones in your box. So this would hopefully incentivize it to swap out Pokemon from time to time with what's in the box, and then raise those up and move on to something else. So, if it gets too out of whack with that, we can always tone it back down at that point. But at least I would like to get improvement on some of its behaviors, because at least we are moving out of town. But I think there's more that can be done in encouraging it to not just do battles, but make progression. It seems like there's already a good reward structure in place for doing events like trainer battles, things like that, that I think already incentivize it. But doing more to encourage leveling and progressing through the game would be the idea here. So for those who are seeing it, thank you for coming to watch. For those of you who are seeing this at a later time, if you're interested in this, please drop a comment on something that you found interesting or something you'd like to make changes and see our progress. And what I'll do is I'll let this run overnight tonight, and then tomorrow in the evening, we'll go through this again. So for those of you who are here, thanks, and have a great night.